All right, with us right now, we've got Rocky Lalvani. Rocky, thank you so much for joining us.
Josh, thank you so much for having me here today.
So, Rocky, you're known for being part of a movement, and the name of your company is Profit Comes First. And so you and I connected at FinCon, which is a conference for money nerds.
And I'm one.
So you have an interesting point of view. And so a lot of people that listen to this program, they're in growth stage startups. They're definitely going through some scaling. They're hiring. At that stage of business, you get a whole slew of new challenges. It's easy to be a consultant, and it's easy to kind of build up a lifestyle income. But if you get the wild idea that you want to serve more, kind of have a bigger impact in the world, is okay, I'm going to start hiring employees, and then we're going to start really scaling up, and then it seems like at that stage of business, it's, and I learned about this a lot at the Tony Robbins Business Mastery, of which I've spoke to that audience, and other speakers have talked on this subject of, be ready for surprises. When you start moving in any direction, it's, just be aware that you might be making way more revenue, but you might have cash flow concerns and things like that. Could you kind of give us just a little bit more on your background and kind of what led you into this? And of course, then we'll kind of talk about kind of the profit first philosophy.
Sure. So I'm an MBA. I'm also an EA, an enrolled agent. And I've always just kind of had a love of money. And I was the money nerd at FinCon. And so I always did that. And throughout my life, I always set up systems to build wealth, to pay myself first. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I was looking around wondering why other people in this country didn't have wealth. And so I learned about money mindsets and how we have money mindsets that prevent us from building wealth. And kind of going down that struggle of learning that, one of the biggest ahas that came up to me was that business owners were not looking at their financials. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're a business owner. Surely you understand the business of business. Mm-hmm. And I found out that most business owners weren't doing that. They were more thrilled with whatever it was that their particular craft was. That's where their thrill was. That's where their dream was. That's where their passion was. And they were going after that, but they weren't looking at the financial statements. They didn't want to look at them. They frustrated by looking at them, and they didn't understand them. And it became a big aha that how are you going to run a profitable business if you're not looking at your profit line? And so that's where I came across Profit First, and that's where that's kind of how I've shifted focus to help small business owners.
So go ahead and give us just a quick, like a 2 to 3 minute overview of the tenets of Profit First. Is it more than just an accounting system?
So it's a basic accounting system that works with the entrepreneurial mindset to shift their focus. So everyone knows the standard equation, which is sales minus expenses equals profit. And in that case, profit comes last. And what Mike did was say, how about sales minus profit equals expenses? Which basically means you're paying yourself first as a business owner, which a lot of business owners don't do. You're taking your profit up
a lot. Way to undersell that one.
Way to undersell that one. A lot of them don't take profit. I mean, more often than not, at the end of the year, you get your K-1 or you get your tax return from your accountant, and he goes, well, that's how much profit you made, and hopefully it is profitable. And then you go, where is that money? And he kind of laughs at you and says, oh, it's a paper number. It's not real. You spent it. With this system, what happens is you're taking your pay off the top, you're taking your taxes off the top, and you're taking your profit off the top. And then what's left are your expenses. And so now you know how much you can spend on your business, which creates a problem, I think, for a lot of business owners, because they're going to say, I don't have enough money left. And that's probably true, which means that you're going to have to start figuring out how to cut expenses or how to focus your business on the things that bring in revenue that's actually profitable, which means you're going to focus a little bit more on the numbers.
Well, So Rocky, this sounds great in intention, but I think the reason why I pay myself last is I can't put myself in a position where, like, listen, if I am delayed in paying myself a week or so, I'm gonna get over it. But if I delay my employees, my staff's time paycheck by a week, there are some serious consequences to that. I can't do that.
And I get it. So this is not something that we're going to flip a switch overnight and all of a sudden everything's going to be perfect. It's a process. So what happens in the beginning, we sit down and we figure out your allocations. We figure out how much money should go everywhere. And then as the money comes in, we start putting it where it should go. In other words, where is that money for your employees' pay, and making sure it goes there. In the beginning, you might struggle and you might not be able to pay yourself, just like it might be in the current situation. But over time, as you start looking at cutting your expenses, which that's the thing, with this system, your focus is constantly on, do we really need to spend that money? And then it might just be asking the question, do I really need that particular employee? What value are they bringing to the business? So we're constantly asking that question. Am I spending where it's valuable? And because that's the focus, and where our focus goes and our attention goes, that's where we get results. So it's shifting your focus is really what it's doing, so that you're constantly looking at the bottom line. There's so many tech companies, even today, that are spending more to bring in new revenue than they're getting in revenue. You can't spend $1.25 to bring in $1 in revenue. You're never going to succeed.
Right.
And so this system helps you focus to say, you know what, I've got to get my costs below my revenue, and I've got to get that gap as big as possible. It's not an overnight solution. It's a solution that over time really forces you to think about your expenses. Because let's face it, I hear business owners say this all the time. It's a tax deduction. It's okay, right? And the reality is, yes, but you can't spend $1 to save 30 cents in taxes. It's not a solid business plan.
Agreed.
So I think it's just about focus. And what happens is, so there's another rule, it's called Parkinson's law. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's pretty simple. If I give you a week to do something, you'll take a week to do it. If I give you an hour to do something, you'll take an hour to do it, right? If I give you $1,000 to run your business, you'll find a way to do it. If I give you $100,000, you'll spend that too. So if we just show you a little bit towards expenses, you'll think out of the box, how do I keep cutting my expenses so that it's in line with that? You're gonna be forced to think and to challenge yourself and to your employees in your company. How do we relentlessly cut costs?
So Rocky, it sounds like you're bringing and I think a lot of what you're talking about, these would be the things that I would expect a CFO would come in, analyze, and say, we need to make some executive decisions based on numbers, not just hopes and dreams and wishes and, lack of clarity and, maybe some, magic 8-ball and some Smurf berries. I mean, it's like, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing.
That is exactly what you're doing. The problem is your average business that's got maybe $500,000 in revenue or $1 million in revenue, they can't afford a CFO. You, the owner, are the CFO.
Yeah.
And if you're not a numbers person, now we're stuck. So what we're doing is we're kind of forcing you to be a CFO without having to look at your P&L statement, without having to look at everything. You're looking at your checkbook going, I have no money. How am I going to cut my costs? And so you're working with the way you already behave. We're not teaching you all this fancy mumbo jumbo of financial language.
Yeah. Okay. So when you engage with a small business, then what does that look like? Do you have just like a monthly retainer? I mean, and you come in and you take a look at the books, do, kind of a different form of bookkeeping and provide some, provide advice and some direction based on what you're finding?
So what we'll do up front is I work with their accountant and their bookkeeper, and more often than not, the accountant just does taxes. The bookkeeper is doing their monthly bookkeeping.
Right.
We'll dig into their monthly bookkeeping. We'll figure out the percentages of all the different, where all your spending is going, how much is going for taxes and all of that. And then once we know that, we'll put in systems for your bookkeeper. And then depending on your business, a couple times a month, as the money comes in, it will be split off into the appropriate accounts to be saved. And then I'll constantly work with the business owner. So I'll be looking at their spending, constantly questioning, hey, I noticed you spent $1,000 last month. What was that $1,000 on, and how does it bring value to your business? So I'm constantly challenging them to go, I spent $1,000, because this happens all the time. I don't even remember spending $1,000 on that. What is that? How did that even happen? A lot of times we don't even notice. So I think by doing that, it's the constant focus. So it is like a CFO.
Yeah.
But because I'm working at a fractional basis, it becomes much more affordable for somebody who's got $500,000 or $1 million in sales to get that high-powered person to come in and help them without having to be able to pay for that kind of level of service.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think that it's a really, really smart position to bring in, or consultant position to bring in. I would imagine that your goal would probably be to generate ROI on your client's investment in you by helping them find cost savings.
It's helping them find cost savings, and it's also helping them identify which revenue is most profitable, because you might sell 5 different products in your company. One product might give you 100% profit margin. Another product might be 0%, or you might even evaluate it and go, wait a minute, every time I sell this, if I add up everything that goes into it, I might be losing money. So why don't we stop doing what's not making you money and focus your energy and efforts where your revenue is truly profitable? So it's a 2-part thing. It's cutting costs and increasing profitable revenues.
Yeah.
It's helping to focus.
How are you able to look at an expense item and with the CEO determine that that's actually not very profitable?
I think most business owners understand their business. You're so busy running in the day-to-day grind of your business that nobody's taking, especially the people who don't like looking at numbers. They're ignoring this because they don't want to look at it. I have my craft. I love doing my craft. I want to serve my customers. I look at numbers and my eyes glaze over at the end of the day. And what I'm doing is helping make it more comfortable for them to look at the numbers in a way that it's not like glazing their eyes over.
So can you create like some attractive user interface, some interpretation of the numbers?
Honestly, what we do is if you look at an average spreadsheet, you might have 25, 30 different line items on there. So where do we focus? What I do is I take those 25, 30 line items and bring it down to 2 or 3. So we make it simple. I make it very easy for them to understand their financials, give them actionable steps of what they need to do these 2 weeks. And a lot of times I think it's them going and doing an investigation, like why are we doing this and why did this money get spent? Or where is my most profitable business? So it's that constant give and take, but it gives them something actionable to do every couple of weeks. You're constantly tweaking the business. This isn't an overnight solution. Usually I will walk with somebody for at least a year to help them constantly make small tweaks. And it's also when you're going to go buy a new piece of equipment or make an investment, we'll sit down and we'll run the numbers and go, does this actually make profitable sense? Or is there a better way to do this than what you're currently planning?
I like that. Rocky, that's pretty cool. I dig that. So, I mean, what do you know? I mean, what are your rates, or like, how do you do pricing for your services?
So it's a value-based pricing. I usually will look at the customer, we'll look at their current profit margins and see what I can deliver in value. If I can't deliver in value, there's really no reason to pay me, right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day, we should be able to get a multiple of the profit that I can deliver to you. And so it really depends on the size of the business, how much work I have to do for that particular business. But I will tell you, it's extremely affordable. We try to make it a no-brainer decision for the customer. So as long as you've got $500,000 in revenue on up, it's usually a no-brainer decision.
That's great. And what about if it's someone that's like, maybe they're closer to, they just hit six figures? I mean, so the audience for that usually like, every bit of, there's a lot of people that listen to the show now, and best as I can tell, we have a lot, pretty much everyone's full-time, or they're real close to full-time, like they have an imminent exit of their full-time job into doing this more full-time. But yeah, definitely in that, I'd say $80,000 to $200,000 range. We provide a lot of great content for that audience. We get some that they're definitely the Inc. 500 and they're definitely, but a lot of momentum in this crowd.
So my suggestion for them, for those people, go buy the book. It's under $20. Buy the Profit First book by Mike Michalowicz. I don't make a penny off of it. I'm not, just go to Amazon or wherever you like to buy books. Buy the book, read the book. If you've got questions or you want a cheat sheet, just email me. I'll send you a cheat sheet. And if you want, they can even email me and I'll sell them a couple chapters of the book for free if they want. That's fine. If you just need a one-time, like, hey, I've read the book, I think I have it right, I just want a one-time consultation, I will do that at a very, very reasonable cost. We'll sit down for an hour or two. Yeah. We'll just get you set. If you're a $100,000 business and you spend 2 hours with me, and you just get it set, and then you go execute, go do it. I'm at the point in my life, I retired from my corporate life. I'm not doing this for money. I've already made my money. I already paid myself first. I'm set for life. This is my give back. I'm like, why aren't there more people like me? I'm an immigrant to the United States. I've been blessed. There should be more millionaires. There should be more people who can do this, and yet we struggle. And so a big part of this is the give back. Yeah.
All right. So, Rocky, people can connect with you. They go to profitcomesfirst.com. If you're maybe not quite at that level yet and you want to get a primer before you reach out to Rocky, the reason I was kind of laughing while you were talking, because I just pulled this up on Amazon. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I'm sorry I didn't pronounce that correctly. 1,546 ratings. It is at a 4.8. Like it's got all 5 gold stars when you look at the listing. That is incredible. So there must be something good in this book.
You follow the system. If you can read the book and follow the system, go do it. If you get stuck and you have friction, ask for help. It works. I can't tell you how many stories I have heard of businesses that have been gone from losses to profit over time, like within a year, dramatic turnarounds. People can sleep at night. People can invest in their businesses. People can pay their employees. Like if you scale up and all of a sudden your business explodes and your accountant calls you up and goes, I have really bad news. You owe $200,000 in taxes. You go, oh, it's no problem. It's in my tax account. Let me cut you a check tomorrow. And the accountant falls off their chair because that's not how it's normally done. Yeah. The system protects you on the upside and it protects you in the meantime.
That's great. I'm really excited. Rocky Lalvani, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you're on the web at profitcomesfirst.com. Again, go grab that book, Profit First, from Mike M. he's got a long, man, I have enough time. I have a hard enough time with Lalvani. You expect me to say Mike's last name? But Rocky, hey, thank you so much for this conversation. Hopefully we've helped a lot of great business owners out there by kind of taking a look at how they're running their numbers and how they're allocating their resources as well. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Josh. That's all I want to do is help them succeed.